work week with a high of 86 for our Friday. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Experiencing increased body fat, low sex drive, lack of energy, or general fatigue? Vitalize Health offers testosterone replacement therapy and peptide therapy to boost hormone levels and build muscle mass. Call Vitalize Health today at 402-413-0717 or go online to vitalizehealthne.com.
Hey, sports fans. Rico here with HIS Auto Care 70th and Van Dorn. Carfax recently awarded us as a top-rated auto service center for 2020, and Lincoln Choice Awards voted us as the 2021 top independent auto repair center. Call us at 402-488-8934 for superior service bumper to bumper. Mention this ad and get 7% off. Doesn't get any better than that. Rico for his Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Your home should not be a zoo to unwelcomed animals. Let the experts at Bats to Rats take care of those problems. Dane has been a leader in wildlife and pest management and prevention in Lincoln and the surrounding area for 15 years. He can help you get rid of bats, rodents, and anything else. Whether it's residential or commercial buildings, schools, apartments, or churches, they're always a phone call away. Call today at 402-310-0904 or visit batsterats.com. Bats to Rats Wildlife Control and Prevention.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is the Happy Hour.
You guys going to happy hour?
Live from the Koppel Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, maybe I'll come for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sainert.
I want to know what it's like to commit a crime without having to spend time in jail.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
C is for chunk.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome in. Happy Thursday, folks. This is the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com. Nick Sainer, Enrique Alvarez, Clary with you. Hello, Rico.
Hello.
How's it going?
Fantabulous.
We need to shout you out real quick. Shout out to Rico.
Shout out me for being a speed demon.
Because I'm noticing that while we're ready for you're hearing the legal ID, right before the show begins. And I noticed that it's the wrong Happy Hour open. It's the less exciting version. It has the other, the Marshawn Lynch quotes in there, and we were like, we don't want that
We
one.
hate that one.
So with 10 seconds left, Rico was able to search it and find the right open for us.
Drag it into the right spot.
Right spot with maybe half a second left.
Woo!
And it worked.
I'm just goated like that, man.
I just wanted to say congratulations and thank you.
Thank you. I will take all the praise that anybody wants to heap on me.
Yeah.
From the Starter Heyman text line or the Honda of Lincoln hotline, 402-464-5685. Or if you want to leave a comment on the Twitch, the YouTube, or the Facebook giving me praise, I'm totally fine with it.
Yes. Join us there. We'll throw your comment up on the stream as well, and you'll be able to see our face. I need to make this known right now. There's a chance today that over the course of the next 56 minutes, I may sneeze on air.
Nick is broken.
My head feels like a balloon. My nose is stuffed. And there might be a time where I get out of breath. But it's okay. I had some Alka-Seltzer. We're feeling good.
Which he hated.
Yes, it was bad, but it helps. And so if I sneeze or my mic goes mute in an instant, I apologize.
Like this.
But then we'll just pick up right where we left off. But I just needed to let that out there if I get out of breath or, whatever's going on. That's how my day is going today. Like Rico said, as always, 464-5685 Honda of Lincoln hotline, Starter Heyman text line. Both those are open for you. Starter Heyman Jewelers video stream. Let's go ahead and get to our first text of the day. Don.
I think it's Don.
It is Don. Mailman Dan, you got a little cocky, man.
Oh, real cocky.
He said, I'm always the first of nothing. Boom. Dan. Or excuse me. Yeah, Mailman Dan. Bro, you're wrong.
Psych.
You played yourself.
Congratulations. You played yourself.
So congratulations to Don. You are today's winner of
nothing.
Yes. All right. Let's okay. These are starting to come in. This is what I was a little worried about.
No, we love these.
Unnamed texter says Nick and Happer must have been getting friendly.
Ew.
Rubber ducks from Rubber Duck from LinkedIn says, sounds like Happer is spreading that cold. I think there's been something going on because I like walked down and I must have given Jake like a stare of death or something because he goes, oh, not feeling the best? And I was like, no. And he goes, oh, yeah, it's okay. I had it a couple weeks ago. Then Sip had it. Now Happer's got it. Now you have it. And I was like,
I don't know what you guys are doing.
So really it started with Jake.
I don't know what you guys are doing. It ain't me, though.
But I do know one thing. After I leave here, I am probably going to spray down this microphone for DP.
Good call.
We'll be all good. We'll get
call.
everything ready. Yeah, so after us, as always, one-on-one with DP. Tonight, I believe Kobe Webster and CJ Wilcher will be in studio with The Truth. So I'll be joining them as I do every Thursday night for their show.
The Truth
from
shall
6 to
set
7.
you free.
Yeah, so it's all good to go. All right, little preview of the show before we get into it here. We'll talk about Nebraska basketball. Big Ten Media Days was today. It doesn't make as much news as football, which I'm a little concerned. I'm not concerned. I'm a little confused about. It never has.
I don't think it does for other sports also, like for other schools also, like Indiana, Illinois, like all those other schools, Michigan. It's just like, oh yeah, Big Ten Media Days for basketball. Cool.
Yeah. And so Fred Hoiberg said a couple things in there. A lot of the same stuff we've been hearing all week, or all off season, I should say. But we'll hear from Fred Hoiberg a little bit, and then we'll also hear a couple things from Scott Frost talking about the running back room, and we'll talk about that a little bit. And then at 2:30, we'll be joined by Trevor Woods of SB Nation in Ann Arbor, talking about Michigan and Nebraska.
What's the vibe up in Michigan? How is Michigan talking about Nebraska? What are their expectations for Adrian Martinez, and do they think they can contain him?
Yeah, and so I'm always curious as well.
The answer is no.
Probably not. I'm always curious as well on what other people's that don't cover Nebraska on a daily basis, what their perception of Nebraska as a program is. And so I'm interested to see how the folks up in Ann Arbor feel about Nebraska and if they're comfortable going into this weekend, if they're nervous, if they're hopeful, like Nebraska fans are.
If they were surprised by the 1 point and now 3.5 point spread in favor of Michigan, or if they thought it was going to be bigger.
So let's get into it, Rico. The NL wild card was last night.
I watched a little bit. I didn't watch a lot.
I will not lie. I left Tanner's 8:15. No, not even. It was like 7:50. And I left Tanner's 7:50ish. I went home. I fell asleep.
Passed out?
I fell asleep. And I wasn't mad about it necessarily, but I was a little frustrated to see that Chris Taylor hit a walk-off home run.
Disgusting.
So
those darn Dodgers.
It was too bad that. So now, but also it's kind of sets up an interesting matchup with the Dodgers and Giants.
Ooh, 100 wins versus 100 wins. Who's going to make it? Who's going to be the victor in this here NLDS? It would have been a lot better if it would have been the Cardinals, even though I know a lot of Cubs fans are just like, the Cardinals lost. Yeah. Woohoo. That's great. But a lot of just baseball fans in general were just like, nah, we would have rather had the Cardinals win because we hate the Dodgers and we don't want them to repeat.
Absolutely.
And it would just been hilarious to see a team win 100 plus games and lose in the wild card round. It would have just been great.
It would have been awesome. So now it sets up that interesting matchup between the Dodgers and the Giants, though. So that's definitely something for baseball fans across the country to watch now. I think there's a game starting at 3 today. Is that true?
Yes, the AL side of things will get kicked off today. I think the Rays and the Red Sox are the later games, so I think it's
Chicago White Sox and the Astros.
I believe so.
3:07 on Fox Sports 1. I'm sure we'll be tuning in on that one.
I do not care.
One-on-one. Really?
I do not care.
DP's kind of a.
I actually don't really care about the MLB playoffs this year, like at all. I mean, if the Yankees were in it, obviously I would have cared, but at the same time, I don't know, like just not interesting this year. It's just I'm just not interested. I don't know why.
Interesting. I'm pretty interested.
Like, okay,
now.
At least on the AL side of things, like I'm not interested at all. On the NL side of things, it's pretty great. I did not know the Brewers. Like, I guess I just wasn't paying attention to Major League Baseball at all. I didn't know the Brewers were even going to make the playoffs. I just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, the Brewers are kind of good.
So we've got who do we have over there? We have the Brewers, the Dodgers, the Giants, and who's the other team?
Why can't I think of this?
See, these are things that are happening. Nobody knows. Oh, the Braves.
Yes, the Braves. And they've won it quite a bit. So, yeah, today you have the White Sox, Astros, and then tonight you have Red Sox, Rays. as well. Would you be more interested in it, even if the Yankees were in it, obviously? But would you be interested in the MLB playoffs as a whole if the Yankees were just in it?
No, I'd just be interested in the Yankees games.
I see.
And they would probably lose in the ALCS in like 6.
Shout out Beansky on the text line.
No, don't shout out Beansky.
5685. He says Yankees always have a super roster and then always choke. Sorry, Rico. Money can't buy you everything, my dude. I agree, Beansky.
This isn't even a bot roster. I understand.
You finessed for Anthony Rizzo.
I understand the whole Yankees bought everybody back in the past, but this roster isn't all bought. Yeah, they signed Garrett Cole as a free agent, but he choked. He's terrible.
It's kind of crazy.
He'll be fine. They traded for Giancarlo Stanton. It's not my fault that they have enough room to take on that terrible contract that the Marlins gave him. They traded for Rizzo. I'm trying to think. They re-signed DJ. Like everybody else is either was with the Yankees or was traded for. And DJ LeMahieu just re-signed, so it's fine.
Yeah,
and he didn't even play. He had a sports hernia, so he couldn't play, which would have made a big difference.
Is there any difference between a sports hernia and just a hernia?
I could not tell you.
All right, that's fine. All right, let's go ahead and move on here. A little bit of Husker basketball news. They had the Big Ten Media Days, like I said, today. Hoiberg reiterated kind of how proud of his team he was last season for just playing so many games in a short span. And he did feel like that helps them getting better and stuff. We've been able to talk to guys like Kobe and stuff like that played through that stretch of games last season. And they said they're not shy about saying how difficult it was and how it just was so rigorous to know that right when you get back, you'd have to play a game that night or even just the following night. You don't get any rest. And they've talked about it, but at the end of the day, they do feel like it's made them a better team overall. Here's the other part, and I'm going to spend a very quick amount of time on this. I mentioned it at the back of the Tom and Box show. I don't need any calls. I don't need any texts, but here's the deal. They are 100% vaccinated. I don't care necessarily how personal feelings. I'm not incorporating that into this. Now, it's positive because it can prevent any possible hiccups down the road. Not all of them are going to be wiped away, obviously, because other teams are going to play a factor in everything that happens, and there's still things that can happen that is way above my pay grade about science and all that. I don't care. However, it's just a kind of a safety net and a nice thing for Fred Hoiberg to know and his staff to know that that's one more thing and that they're all on the same page, if that makes sense. It can prevent hiccups. It can prevent, it's kind of controlling what they can control, supposedly. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense.
Yeah, controlling what you can control up to a point. Yeah.
Up to a point. Because at some point, there is stuff that's out of your control. But like I said, it's nice for a staff under Fred Hoiberg himself, which this team has a lot of things going their way. And what we expect to have happen is this program is going in a positive direction and having positive movement despite their record last season.
Mm-hmm.
That this is just one more positive thing, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It makes perfect sense. Look, when your team is 100% vaccinated, I believe it's the same as it is for football. You get to avoid weekly testing, so you don't have to, unless somebody is showing symptoms or if somebody, is not vaccinated and test positive, you don't have to worry about your team testing and the risk of your team becoming the reason that you can't play a game. You don't have to forfeit games if your team is 100% vaccinated. So the fact that the entire basketball team has their shot and isn't going to have to worry about that, and hopefully won't have to go through what they went through last year, where like you said, they had to shut down for a little bit, and when they came back, they had to make up those games and play a game what seemed like every other day.
You don't have to test as often. It's the same thing. I mean, you can relate it just to being a normal student at the university. I can tell you this: if you haven't submitted your vaccination form, then you have to test at least once a week. If you have, you don't have to unless it's a close contact or however they call it. All right. So personal feelings aside, speaking to these guys as men and as 18 to 22-year-olds, some of them older, maybe part of that reason was so that they don't have to test so often. And because that can get annoying and rigorous and
I mean, Hoiberg they're being extra cautious in the basketball program. They said during Monday's presser that if somebody wakes up and has the sniffles, they're holding them out and they're getting them tested that day just to make sure, nothing sneaks up on them. They're being extremely cautious, overly cautious to make sure they don't have to deal with what happened to them last year again. And that's great because they have so much talent. They have so much going good for them right now. They don't want to derail their season for something like that. It's just, it's very good for the team to keep moving forward and to improve their stock.
Yeah, and so I just wanted to spend a quick moment on that. I wanted to be very careful how I approached it as well. But at the end of the day, that is the news. That's something that came out of the Big Ten Media Days today.
It is what Hoiberg told us.
It's kind of a relevant topic in today's sports world, despite on how you feel. To be honest, listeners, you guys don't know how I feel after what I just said. And that's I am happy with that because I don't want that side of me to necessarily come out. Because sometimes it's nice to keep things separate, I will say. All right, let's move on. Husker football. Big game against Michigan, right?
I guess you could call it that.
Everybody's super excited for it. Student guest tickets, $75. Normally you can buy them for $5.
Expensive.
And so there is every single student that has tickets, which is pretty much sold out, they're going to the game.
If you wanted to sell your ticket, you could sell it for a pretty penny.
There's people selling them. They're trying to sell them for $65, and nobody's taking it. So they're like, all right, I'll just go to the game.
I guess I'll go.
There's going to be a ton of people there. It's going to be exciting. There's going to be we thought the energy was good last weekend. I would love to be down in the Haymarket pregame. Make sure you stop by Tipsy Tina's. We'll be broadcasting live there for 2.5 hours before the game. But the energy is going to be through the roof. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be lit, as the kids say.
Yes.
Do the kids still say that?
Not as much anymore. But here's the deal. There's a lot of hope in the air, but also, as a Nebraska fan, I'm sort of anxious. I'm anxious to get to the game. Maybe that's what it is. Because of that hope that is in the air, you are hopeful that Nebraska responds and builds off of each of the last couple weeks. Despite the Michigan State loss, you still hope Nebraska, to an extent, builds off how they performed that night. And then you hope that they can elevate themselves even more. Now, once again, with this defense, you don't necessarily worry about them elevating themselves even more.
But they can.
But they still believe they can, which is awesome, and it's super exciting. And it gets you riled up to watch them on Saturday go up against Cade McNamara, against J.J. McCarthy. They're 2-quarterback system that they play there. And then
if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none.
Yeah.
Those are the rules. That is what it said.
I feel like it's somewhat different with Michigan. But we'll talk to Trevor Woods about that a little bit.
Yeah, we'll ask him.
But also, I'm excited to watch this defense go up against the 2/3-headed monster of Michigan's running back room. It's going to be exciting to watch.
It's a little you keep telling me this in the hallways every time I tell you I'm not worried about Michigan's offense. And I'm like, they held Kenneth Walker. And you're like, well, this is 3 running backs. This isn't 1. I'm like, I don't care. This is a great rushing defense against a good rushing offense, but I'm going to take the defense because they've shown it week in and week out that they are able to stop opposing running backs despite who's running the ball. It's very impressive. Plus, as opposed to, even Michigan State didn't pass the ball that well, but Oklahoma, they passed the ball really well. They didn't really run it that well coming into the game. They ran it okay. And even then, Nebraska still had a chance in that game. Nebraska's rush defense will help in their pass defense, especially against a team like Michigan, who's only averaging, I think, 181 pass yards per game, which is not a lot. They rely on running the ball, and they've been ahead in many of their games. So they don't have to pass the ball, so there is that caveat to it. But I don't think they have the same type of weapons that a Michigan team on the outside as a wide receiver core has had in the past. I think they still have good athletes, but I believe that Nebraska's secondary can match up really well with them. And I'm trying to remember who they were talking. I think it was on Happer and Schaefer. They were talking to somebody, and they said that
it was probably Zach Shaw.
I think it was Zach Shaw. He said that Michigan's offensive line isn't as big as it was before.
Okay.
Their defensive line isn't as big. Their defensive line is very fast, very quick.
Yeah.
Not as big. So that's something I think Nebraska can take advantage of, because they have, as they've been in the Big Ten, they've been able to adjust to the size of the Big Ten, especially right now in the Frost era, and they've gotten bigger, but they've also kept the speed that they brought in with them from the Big 12. Not the exact speed. They've slowed down a little bit, but they still have the speed, and they've adjusted to the size and strength of the Big Ten.
Well, and I completely agree with you, actually, if we're doing this right now. I agree with you. I feel confident in Nebraska's defense going up against Michigan's running game. Like, I think Nebraska's defense has the upper hand. I expect them to have the upper hand. And part of that is because of how they matched up and they stopped Kenneth Walker, essentially, despite the 23-yard run in overtime, right? Well, that's another thing I'm interested to hear from Trevor Woods of SB Nation in Ann Arbor here in about 10 or so minutes, is how do they feel about it? How confident are they in, if Nebraska is able to shut down their running game, how confident are they in Cade McNamara throwing the football? Because to be honest, and I don't think I'm stepping out of line here or saying this, Husker fans don't really need to pay attention to Michigan. They're on the other side of the conference. Normally, the only other team on the other side of the conference Nebraska fans need to worry about is Ohio State in years past,
because you play them every single year.
You play them every single year, and on the pipe dream of Nebraska making the Big Ten title game,
you're probably
going to play Ohio State. This year, it could be different. You could play Penn State, you could play Ohio State, you could play Michigan.
And I get, like, you haven't played Michigan in a while.
Exactly. So I will be the first to admit, I don't know a ton about Michigan in years past, in recent years, I should say. I know a couple of their players and stuff like that, but that's why I really wanted to get somebody from Ann Arbor on this week and kind of see how their perception of Nebraska is this season.
Learn us some Michigan.
Exactly. All right, got a couple minutes left in this segment. We talked about the running game. We actually asked Erin Sorensen this yesterday. I kind of feel bad to an extent, because we ask her about a lot of the same things.
We ask her about the running backs every week because we don't know.
Yeah. And to be fair, neither do they, but maybe she has a better answer. Well, this is what she had to say yesterday when we asked her about what we can expect kind of from the running backs this week.
The thing with the running, like, I feel like we've now talked about this the last 3 weeks, and I've said something kind of similar in each situation, because we've been trying to understand what they're going to do with running backs. And it's like, once you say it's going to be Ramir Johnson, it ends up being this person. And once it ends up being this person, it ends up being Yant. Like, it just, getting kind of a grasp over who is playing and when has been sort of, we obviously are not privy to the decision making, but it's hard to know, like, are they going to go in against it and use him? Because, he can definitely move some bodies. But yeah, I say this every week. Maybe we'll see more of him, but then I keep saying this too. Like, I say that and then it won't be what happens.
So she said it just perfectly fine. You have no idea. And here's the interesting part. Today, Scott Frost was asked about the running back rotation, and here's what he had to say.
No, it's always up in the air, and I'm sure multiple guys will play again. And we had a couple guys play really well last week, so hopefully they can do the same thing and we start building some consistency.
So
that does not give me any confidence in knowing what's happening.
That's where I want to open up to you guys here. You guys have been great already. 24 minutes into the show, you guys have a lot of text that we'll get to probably here shortly.
You guys are great. We love you.
However, this is where I want to hear even more from you. 464-5685. You can do it on the text line. You can do it over the phone. You can do it over the video stream, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. How do we feel knowing that this staff has embraced that they've embraced that idea of, whoever's playing well that week of practice, well,
would you even call this running back by committee? Because running back by committee is just, who's going to get the ball in like certain situations. It's just like, all right, this is the third down back. This is the pass catching back. This is the short yardage back. This is, who's doing what. But right now with the running backs that they have, it seems like everybody can do just about everything. And like you said, it's just whoever had the best week of practice is going to be the starter this week. I don't think I like that.
Well, and I guess to an extent, and Frost kind of alluded to it at the back end of that clip. He said how, they just kind of hope that they can get some consistency there. Well, you kind of hope that, and we've seen it in the recent weeks with Ramir Johnson, that he's been able to stack a couple good weeks on top of a couple good weeks, and he's played in recent games. And so maybe by doing this and by giving the guys full reign of knowledge saying, hey, it's open every single week. You hope that Ramir keeps pushing himself, knowing that he doesn't have the starting job every single week. You hope you see a guy like Jaquez Yant, right? That's how Jock got into the starting rotation. Obviously, he got helped a little bit by the Gabe Ervin injury. But at the beginning of the season, and Erin said this yesterday when we talked to her, nobody was talking about Yant going into this week.
Nobody's talking about the thing that was being talked about Ramir Johnson was, he's going to be the next transfer.
Yeah. And that's what Ryan from Nashville says on the text line. It just sounds like a big recipe for several transfers. I mean, hope not.
It kind of does, but at the same time, I think that it kind of help. Okay, this is weird. I think that this system sort of helps not transfer out because you don't you could have a really good week of practice and you could be the third string like Amir Johnson was.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like, hey, you're starting in against Oklahoma down in Norman. Have fun. We think you've done a really good job in practice. We're going to start you this week.
Well, and let's not forget Frost's first season, and I allude to this quite often. Divino Zigbo was not being talked about at all before he burst onto the scene. Obviously, once again, got helped by some guys ahead of him not doing their job. Greg Bell, whatever happened there. So you got to get helped out. And so yes, it's not the best thing to hear that they don't have a guy every single week that they can rely on.
Although I am very high on Ramir Johnson.
Yes, because we've seen that, right? And we've been able to see now after just 1 week, Jaquez Yant, right? He has, that there's some amount of competition there and how he loves to compete because this whole offseason, the whole first couple weeks of the season, nobody talked about him. I will say, I mentioned him oh yeah, sure, it would be nice to have Jaquez Yant in third and goal from the one, right?
It was during the spring. It was it's a big body back.
Yeah, and here's the deal. And we got called out on the text line by a lot of people about, it's, Jaquez Yant was a spring story. And I'll admit, I'm not taking credit for it because I had no clue that Jaquez Yant was going to play on Saturday.
I'm taking credit for it.
Of course you will. And that's just you.
That was my guy.
But
I told all of you in the spring.
Yeah. So I just want to get your thoughts on the running back room. A lot of texts there. We will we'll get to those shortly after we get to Trevor Woods. Let's preview Michigan here shortly. Just before we get to even Trevor. A little bit of what I can read from Michigan. They play a little bit of both of their quarterbacks. Cade McNamara hasn't thrown an interception. JJ McCarthy came in as a high-level recruit. He plays a little bit. I'm interested in hearing what Trevor's thoughts are on their quarterback situation, how the fans up there in Ann Arbor feel about the quarterback. Do they want JJ McCarthy? Because is it not a similar position into what Nebraska was at last year? Obviously, Michigan's having more success than 2020 Nebraska did.
That is true.
But are people calling for JJ McCarthy over McNamara when McNamara hasn't necessarily played poorly?
McNamara is completing 62% of his passes, 9.1 average per pass, 87 yards his longest, 5 touchdowns, like you said, no interceptions. Also, he hasn't been sacked. The only sack is JJ McCarthy getting sacked.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of a thing you want to look out for. Can Nebraska's defensive line get past Michigan's offensive line and get to the quarterback?
And so I'm interested and excited to talk to Trevor. Their sophomore running back, Blake Koram, I kind of mentioned it earlier on Tom and Bach. I believe they've kind of weaned off of him a little bit, but he's still leading that room, 84 carries on the year, 520-some yards. 21 yards, and I think he has 6 or 7 touchdowns on the season. Perfect.
They have a lot of rushing touchdowns between their top two. Yeah, 7 and 6.
And that's what we get off the text line here is that they don't feel like Michigan's had to throw the ball. Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly what I'm trying to, and I'm excited to hear about is how do they feel about their quarterbacks as passers, not just leaders of this offense. So let's go ahead and take a break. We'll get to Trevor Woods of SB Nation from Ann Arbor next here on the Happy Hour.
Follow Nick and Enrique on Twitter at Nick_Sainert and at Radio Rico AC. More of Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
I don't know about you guys, but I have been getting back out and hitting different restaurants, hitting different places, and I could not be more excited to get back to Bearshin in Benson, one of the best beer gardens around. The weather's starting to get good, and coinciding with that, they are going back to their full food menu. We're talking the burgers, the Johnny Hammer Pants sandwich, the pretzels, the fries. the salads, if you're one of those people. They got all of it. And they are now open Tuesday through Sunday. That allows you to get over to Bearshin, check out the food, the beer, hang out in the beer garden. You can get that $7 big cheese double Wagyu burger special on Tuesdays. Also, happy hour, 3 to 6, Tuesday through Friday. Don't miss it. Plus, if you're a soccer fan, it's the place to be in Benson.
Lay the groundwork for more harvesting capacity when you order new John Deere combines and headers during Landmark Implement's early order program. Whether you're looking to improve your existing combine, corn head, or flex draper, or you've been wanting to update to a new model year, now is the time to upgrade. Get the very latest harvesting equipment and technology that fit your operations needs. Get your new John Deere harvest equipment built just the way you want. Contact your local Landmark Implement for full details and experience the Landmark difference.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Welcome to Friendly Neighbors. Welcome to maintenance-free living. Welcome to Carriage Glen. Welcome home. It's everything you'd want in an active 55-plus rental community right here in Lincoln. Spacious floor plans, numerous amenities, beautiful surroundings near Holmes Lake, and much more. Plus, with Carriage Glen's current move-in special, you can save thousands if you act now. Carriage Glen invites you to take a personal tour or visit them online at carriageglenoflincoln.com. Discover the place you'll love to call home.
Welcome to today's episode of The Great Unknowns. Last time, we talked about why chickens can't just cross the road in peace. Today's topic is the great unknowns of the future. Like, am I ready for what life throws at me? Well, that answer is easy. Just call a local State Farm agent. State Farm agents will help you plan for the what-ifs in life so you know what to expect if the unexpected happens. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Kreekak, at 402-474-1173.
Why pay for average lawn care when you can get better elsewhere? Blades Lawn Care is the place to go for excellent service for homeowners associations and commercial or residential lawn work. As we enter the fall with aerating and lawn care ahead of winter, also prepare for 2022 maintenance for your lawn. Call Rich today at 402-730-6320 to learn more, or to schedule services for the fall, or to look ahead to 2022. Blades Lawn Care, trusted service for over 10 years.
Businesses from all over the capital city are excited to welcome you to the 2021 Lincoln Expo on Wednesday, October 13th from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. at Pinnacle Bank Arena. Safely enjoy one of the region's largest business trade shows as you network, find out about Lincoln businesses, and enjoy the many interactive booths. The Expo has something for everyone, including the popular Lincoln Craft Beer Tour and a free Lincoln t-shirt. Best of all, it's free to attend. The Lincoln Expo, showcasing and celebrating local business.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Areas of fog a possibility this morning, then becoming partly sunny with an afternoon high of 78. Winds out of the south at around 10 to 15. A few passing clouds tonight, low dropping down to 57. We'll heat things up a bit for the end of the work week with a high of 86 for our Friday. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Now back to the happy hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
I thought Nebraska was really impressive. I think they're playing their best football. It was a dominating performance. And, you look back at their games that they've played, they've all been close. They played standing opponents like Oklahoma. It's going to be a big challenge, really no different from what we were facing last week. We're in the same situation. Get ready to play a hungry team, really a team that's hitting their stride.
That was Jim Harbaugh, Michigan's head coach, on Nebraska earlier this week. Back here on the happy hour, Nick Sander and Enrique Alvarez Clary with you on the ticket. We are now joined by Trevor Woods of Maize & Brew, powered by SB Nation out in Michigan. Trevor, how's it going today?
Hey, great to be on. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess we can start here. I always like to get the perception of Nebraska's program from people that don't always cover the program on a daily basis, if that makes sense. So Nebraska and Michigan haven't necessarily played a ton in recent years. What is the folks up there, what's their perception of Nebraska's program in this game on Saturday heading into this matchup?
Well, I'll tell you the overall perception is a bit of respect coming Nebraska's way. You just played Jim Harbaugh's quote about the competitiveness of Nebraska this season, even in losses to Oklahoma, Illinois, and Michigan State. They've been by razor-thin margins. That they're definitely as good as their 3-3 record, probably better than that 3-3 record would indicate. And then, of course, quarterback Adrian Martinez for the Cornhuskers. He's been around a few years, one of the more versatile quarterbacks in all of college football. 412 rushing yards this year, 9 touchdowns on the ground. That's pretty impressive stuff right there. Going to be hard to stop. So I think there's a little bit of concern heading into a road game in Nebraska where the Cornhuskers team demolished Northwestern last week in front of a home crowd. It's going to be a night game. So I wouldn't expect it to be easy for Michigan. And, like Harbaugh said, there's some mutual respect going on right now between the two programs.
Trevor, you mentioned Adrian Martinez and how he's going to be tough to stop. Fitzgerald was mentioning Adrian Martinez and how he's hoping that, after 4 years of him giving them fits, that he's hoping that this is his last year. What is Michigan doing to prepare for Adrian Martinez's arms and his legs?
Good question. And it sounds like that's one of the major points of emphasis this week for Michigan's defense. How do you go about stopping or at least limiting the production of Martinez? There's certain players in college football that you're not going to throw a complete shutout against them. So he'll get his licks in, Martinez. He'll get a few runs in here or there at the very least. But as far as what Michigan's doing to stop it, they just said, linebackers coach George Hilo, that, hey, you gotta tackle, you gotta defend the perimeter, you gotta defend sideline to sideline. So honestly, it's not rocket science. You have to play fundamentally sound football. You can't let Martinez slip one tackle because he can then make that one missed tackle into a big gain or a touchdown. So Michigan has a fast defense that has been flying to the football this season, but I think Martinez presents the stiffest test for Michigan so far for an opposing quarterback, and especially the stiffest test for an opposing quarterback with wheels such as Martinez. So it's not going to be easy. In theory, you know what to do and how to attack a guy like Martinez, but then it's much harder to go out there and actually do it. So we'll find out.
We're joined by Trevor Woods of Maize & Brew out in Ann Arbor here, previewing Nebraska, Michigan on Saturday. Let's talk about the Wolverines for a couple minutes. You guys are 5-0, you're top 10 in the country. What's the vibe around that program specifically this year, and kind of what's the mentality that Jim Harbaugh is saying on a week-to-week basis?
Yeah, the vibe is good right now. The vibe is positive, and it's one thing, the vibe of the fans. That's obviously an important factor too, but it all boils down to the guys in the locker room and the coaching staff. And right now they're in a place where they're believing this looks like a Jim Harbaugh coach team of old. What do I mean by that? They're a disciplined team. They're a team that's playing with energy. They tackle hard. They're playing smart. Only one sack allowed by the offensive line. Quarterback Cade McNamara hasn't thrown an interception. The defense is getting a lot of sacks. But it boils down to a 2-4 season for Michigan last year, and Jim Harbaugh revamped the coaching staff, not completely, but he brought in a bunch of younger guys on both sides of the ball, whether it's running backs coach Mike Hart, defensive backs coach Mike McDonald, who was the linebackers coach for the Baltimore Ravens, quarterbacks coach Matt Weiss, who is the running backs coach for the Ravens when they were leading and rushing 2 years in a row. So you got a lot of young, hungry coaches who they don't want this to be their last stop in Ann Arbor. They want to ascend to become coordinators and head coaches. So along with this new energy comes some new schematics to the defensive side of the ball, mixing in more zone coverages. It's harder to pinpoint exactly what type of formation they're running, or if it's going to be man zone, where's the blitz coming from. A lot of more question marks for opposing teams, period. So to answer your question, what's different from Harbaugh? Energy. He's lost, I believe, 20 or 25 pounds this offseason. He said he's back to his playing weight, so that's 20 years ago right there. So it's a guy who woke up after a 2-4 season and said, man, this sucks, and I really got to do something about it. So you're seeing that to this point. 5-0.
You mentioned the quarterback Cade McNamara right there, and I was watching them a little bit against Wisconsin. We see flashes of JJ McCarthy as well. What's the mood or the attitude surrounding that quarterback's position specifically? Because Nebraska last year kind of had a similar situation in Adrian Martinez and Luke McCaffrey before McCaffrey transferred out. Are the fans wanting JJ McCarthy to kind of move in and play more? I mean, McNamara hasn't thrown an interception. So what's the attitude from the fan base surrounding that quarterback deal?
Yeah, well, part of it's anchored the debate because Michigan didn't pass a lot leading up to the Wisconsin game. Mm-hmm. Only Army, Air Force, and Navy rushed the ball more heading into the Wisconsin game. And Michigan passed a bit more last week. McNamara missed some shots, but he threw a few really beautiful, nice balls. So he hasn't had a ton of opportunities, only 81 attempts on the year, 61% completion percentage. He's a smart quarterback, but then you see five-star J.J. McCarthy, true freshman, come in. He can do more with his legs and the read option game to keep defenses honest. That's why he was brought in last week initially, to get some runs to the perimeter, end up having a quarterback sneak touchdown. And then his only pass to the game was really impressive to Dalen Baldwin, a long, deep bomb hit Dalen Baldwin right in stride. So what's going on right now is Jim Harbaugh sees the talent that McCarthy has and sees the skill set he has. And there's going to be packages for him. There's going to be opportunities for him. And I don't look at this as a quarterback controversy. I look at this more along the lines of a quarterback luxury. You have a competent quarterback in McNamara who can get some things done, not making mistakes. But then the upside, the really high ceiling of young McCarthy is evident. And they're trying to work him in whatever way possible. And maybe someday the hot hand will go McCarthy's way and he'll get more reps. This could end up being an Alex Smith, Colin Kaepernick situation that Jim Harbaugh once had at the San Francisco 49ers, and we know what happened there. Ended up going with Kaepernick and went to a Super Bowl and NFC championship game. So we'll see. But I think the quarterback situation is pretty good right now at Michigan, and perhaps the best it's been since Harbaugh was there since 2015.
We're speaking with Trevor Woods of Mason Brew up in Ann Arbor. Trevor, Scott Frost said that, both of these teams want to run the ball. Both of these teams are really good at stopping the other team from running the ball. And if they get into a passing situation, then that means that they haven't really been doing their job. Do you have a good feeling if let's say Michigan goes down early and they have to pass the ball, are Michigan fans feeling pretty good about their passing game?
I think they are overall, but the reality is just if you objectively look at the film, right? It's one thing to feel a certain way, but it's one thing to analyze. And Michigan has some talent at wideout. Cornelius Johnson's look great. Dalen Baldwin's look great. Those two guys are averaging respectively 24.5 yards per catch and 25.5 yards per catch. Some deep targets right there. Then Roman Wilson, he's another speedy guy who can get some things done, strong hands. I think they have some weapons at wideout. And then they've been mixing in running back Blake Koram more in the passing game too. It obviously boils down to quarterback play. Can he get it to these open guys or these talented wideouts? But the thing is, once more, is Michigan hasn't passed a ton this year. But when these players have had the opportunities to produce, we're starting to see that. We're starting to see more chemistry in the passing game, evident last week. Michigan had to pass the ball against Wisconsin. Wisconsin was shutting their running game down, and had one of the best run defenses in all college football. So great question. But to answer your question, yes, I think Michigan has at least an adequate passing attack if Nebraska was to stack the box and absolutely shut Michigan's rushing attack down. I think McNamara and or McCarthy can hit Nebraska or any team deep for that matter if there's no safeties back there in a one-on-one matchup.
Let's talk about the defense here. Let's switch to the other side of the ball. I mean, obviously, Aiden Hutchinson's the big name on that Wolverine defense that a lot of Husker fans are knowing going into Saturday. But at the end of the game on Saturday, who is somebody or who are a couple guys that Nebraska fans will know by the end of the game on Saturday night?
Yeah, great question. Number one would be specifically if we're going to talk about the health of Adrian Martinez, Dax Hill, safety Dax Hill, another 5-star guy. He's really starting to come into his own this year, and they're playing him all over the field. It could be slot corner, safety. He's just become more of a hybrid player, and where they allow him to roam on the defensive side of the ball. And point being, Hill had an interception last week, and he knocked Graham Mertz, the starting quarterback of Wisconsin, out of the game, cracked his chest. Mertz ended up having to go to the hospital. My point is, Hill can hit very hard, and he's just everywhere. So just watch out for Dax Hill. And then another player, captain, linebacker Josh Ross, has 32 tackles this season. Linebackers coach George Hilo actually called him yesterday the heart of the defense. Definitely a big leader, a smart player, instinctive player, gets these guys lined up right, communicates well. But Michigan has a good defense across the board, and this is the best this defense has looked probably since 2016. But if I had to narrow it down to a couple guys, those might be the two I'd pick.
One more here before we let you go. We're talking to Trevor Woods of Maize and Brew up in Ann Arbor here on the Happy Hour. When looking at Nebraska, the conversations that have been had up there in Michigan, what worries not only Michigan as a program, but the fan base heading into Nebraska's game when you're looking at the Cornhuskers?
We already talked about it, really. Would be Adrian Martinez, and then it would be just how Nebraska's fought this year. They've been competitive in every game, and they seem like a unit that fights for one another, and that's so important. And then, of course, it's a road game. Michigan's going on the road. It's never easy playing on the road in Big Ten play, and Nebraska's got a little more juice heading into this matchup after beating up on Northwestern. So I would expect out of the gate, once the kickoff goes into the air, that Nebraska's fans are going to be fired up. So it's going to be very important for Michigan to get off to a fast start to silence that crowd as quickly as possible.
Awesome. Great stuff, Trevor. I appreciate the time. We'll talk to you down the road. Are you making your way down to Lincoln for the game?
This is actually be one of the first I haven't been at, but hey, good luck to everybody who goes. I hope it's a blast.
Absolutely. Enjoy the game. Good luck to Michigan, and we'll talk to you down the road.
All right. Thanks, guys.
That is Trevor Woods of Maize and Brew up in Ann Arbor, powered by SB Nation. Good stuff for him talking about the Wolverines. Let's take our final timeout. We'll have some thoughts, and we'll wrap up our thoughts on Michigan, and we'll wrap up Thursday's show next on the Happy Hour.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. More of the Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Yesterday, your water heater worked just fine. Today, surprise. Hi, folks. Greg Sharp here, the voice of the Huskers. When you're out of hot water, just call the plumbers at Bryant. In most cases, get same-day water heater replacement. What you won't get is a costly surprise when the bill comes. At Bryant, the price you're quoted is the price you'll pay. No last-minute extras for piping or ventilation alterations. Need a new water heater? Just call Bryant, 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Welcome to Friendly Neighbors. Welcome to Maintenance-Free Living. Welcome to Carriage Glen. Welcome home. It's everything you'd want in an active 55-plus rental community right here in Lincoln. Spacious floor plans, numerous amenities, beautiful surroundings near Holmes Lake, and much more. Plus, with Carriage Glen's current move-in special, you can save thousands if you act now. Carriage Glen invites you to take a personal tour or visit them online at carriageglenoflincoln.com. Discover the place you'll love to call home.
Lay the groundwork for more harvesting capacity when you order new John Deere combines and headers during Landmark Implement's early order program. Whether you're looking to improve your existing combine, corn head, or flex draper, or you've been wanting to update to a new model year, now is the time to upgrade. Get the very latest harvesting equipment and technology that fit your operations needs. Get your new John Deere harvest equipment built just the way you want. Contact your local Landmark Implement for full details and experience the Landmark difference.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Welcome to today's episode of The Great Unknowns. Last time, we talked about why chickens can't just cross the road in peace. Today's topic is the great unknowns of the future. Like, am I ready for what life throws at me? Well, that answer is easy. Just call a local State Farm agent. State Farm agents will help you plan for the what-ifs in life so you know what to expect if the unexpected happens. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Kreekak, at 402-474-1173.
Deck City is Lincoln's DIY deck headquarters. With real deck professionals, they can help you throughout the entire process. They also offer financing for qualified customers. Deck City offers the best quality materials so you have a deck built to last. There's everything from yellowwood lumber to the best quality TimberTech composites on the market and high quality aluminum railings by Westbury or Diamond Piers for easy footing install. For those looking to bring your wood deck back to life, they offer good proof ready seal stain. Deck City, your deck material headquarters, is now open Saturdays from 9 to 1, 2 blocks north of 33rd and Cornhusker Highway.
Work out your stress and get back to feeling great at Planet Fitness. It's a great time to do your own thing. Now through October 13th, join for just $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime, and get back to a routine that's right for you with tons of equipment and free fitness training in our clean and spacious clubs. Plus, check out the crowd meter in our free PF app for the best time to visit. Join today for $1 down, $10 a month, and cancel anytime. Hurry, deal ends October 13th. See club for details.
Angry about a recent Nebraska football loss? Go throw axes at Kraft Axe Throwing. Optimistic about the upcoming Nebraska football game? Go sign up for free football tickets at Kraft Axe Throwing. Bring some friends, reserve a bay for an hour or more, release anger at the targets by hucking an axe at it, and walk away feeling better about yourselves and the football season just in time to enter for a chance to win a free pair of tickets to the next home game as you walk out the door. Reserve your lane online at craftaxethrowing.com or call 402-802-9696. Kraft Axe Throwing at 18th and N in Lincoln.
Another packed fall sports season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. This month's specials are Sam Adams, Exile Brewing from Iowa, and other fall seasons. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch Crowler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage stop at 1801 O Street.
Now back to the happy hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back here one final time on the happy hour, 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com. Thanks again to Trevor Woods of Maize and Brew up in Ann Arbor for spending a little bit of time with us. Shout out Industry, baby. Thank you, Rico. We'll get to some of your texts here. We have a couple minutes left in this one. A lot of good texts that came in during that last segment as well. This one comes from the first segment telling me, Nick, do the one chip challenge to clear your sinuses. No, thank you. I did the hot wings.
That cleared your sinuses.
That did. Yeah, I'm okay with that. All right. There's this one text that came in during that interview. Why haven't any of the Michigan analysts, mention any concern about our defense? All they just say is they worry about Adrian Martinez. They are disrespecting our defensive talent. Yeah, I was kind of surprised as well. That it's definitely something to watch. The running game for Michigan is good. I mean, I'm not trying to slight them in any way, but so is the run defense for Nebraska. And then if Enrico was trying to allude to that as well by asking the the question about Michigan's passing attack, because guess what? Nebraska's secondary and pass defense is pretty darn good as well.
Too. Got a pretty good defense. I was trying to get some type of love for Nebraska's defense in there, but
passing yards per game in the country, Michigan ranks 112th. Obviously, they haven't had to pass it, like Trevor said. Rushing yards per game, they rank 7th in the country. We mentioned they run it a lot. They have about 3 guys that can run the football, including, or in addition to JJ McCarthy. Is that not like Luke McCaffrey?
What do you mean?
He straight up was like, yeah, they have packages.
Mark just put cookies back there. Nick was distracted.
I was distracted. They said, he goes, they have packages that they specifically want to run for JJ McCarthy.
It does sound like a Luke McCaffrey thing.
And he goes, this doesn't seem like a quarterback competition. It seems like a quarterback luxury. Is that not the same exact conversation we were having last year?
If you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have 1 quarterback. Those are the rules.
It's kind of actually interesting to see and realize that it goes on other places, even at a top 10 program.
I've been very
like
perplexed.
Michigan.
Even Michigan fans are more worried about our offense than our defense, says an unnamed texter. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's after that Northwestern game, everybody's just looking at Nebraska's offense and just like, wow, they are explosive. Look how good they are. And they forgot that Nebraska has held they've held their opponents, their last 4 or 5 opponents to 7-3, 23 points each for the two ranked teams, and then 7 again.
Yeah, and so tomorrow, a little bit of preview show tomorrow before we have about a minute left here. I want to get our final worries out. And I can always go back on today's text and we can pick through a couple of them because there's a lot of them. Gus says this about the running back situation here. I guess I can touch this. The running back situation in short sucks. It makes me feel that the staff can't make a decision or they don't want anyone to transfer. I hate the pass protection talk about why a running back doesn't play. We don't throw the ball deep enough that pass protection really matters. Ramir Johnson is a peanut who doesn't seem to read the hole correctly.
What?
Step looked great. Now he's MIA. Yant is a situational option, and you never see the greatest high school running back out of Oklahoma, Sevion Morrison. I will say this.
What?
No. I will say this. I do like what they've had in Ramir Johnson. He's proved a lot of people wrong. We all, out of Oklahoma, the thought was, oh, they put him in there for the Big 12 defense because he can fit through holes. But how now? He's shown to do it at a Big 10 level.
Ramir Johnson has been incredible and has shown strength in all of his runs.
We'll wrap up the week tomorrow. Thanks for everything. Talk to you then.
Adios.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security